OSM, the CRC on countdown 1.
This is Wilson, go ahead.
Yeah, verify flight area is clear and ready to proceed with terminal count.
Flight area is cleared, and the RSM has my green.
Copy, thanks.
LDA, this is LD on countdown 1.
Go ahead, LDA.
Can you provide range status and concurrence to launch and land this evening?
LDA, range is green and you are clear to launch.
LD copies.
Good evening or good morning, depending on
launch trajectory and countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
We are looking at a live shot of the moon over Vandenberg this evening with really clear skies at altitude. The Falcon 9 rocket that's carrying tonight's payload is awaiting liftoff from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California in about 9 minutes from now. Tonight's mission is the first of 3 launches this week from all 3 launch pads in California and Florida. Hey everyone, my name is Somi Srivastava and I am a structures engineer here at SpaceX. Today's mission carries a national security payload that is designed, built, and operated by the National Reconnaissance Office, or the NRO. Tonight's mission marks SpaceX's 347th overall launch, the 52nd launch of 2024, and the 5th NRO launch on a Falcon 9. This mission continues NRO's development of cutting-edge capability that deliver critical information that can only be obtained from the vantage point of space. The range and vehicle are currently green, and we're on track for an on-time launch at 1 a.m. Pacific time. It's also worth noting that we won't be showing any Stage 2 or deployment views at the request of our customer. So for now, let's meet our vehicle and learn a little bit more about the most flown U.S. launch vehicle ever, our Falcon 9 rocket. Falcon 9 is a 2-stage rocket that is designed and manufactured by SpaceX for the reliable and safe transport of people and payloads into Earth orbit and beyond. It's also the first and currently the only orbital class rocket that's capable of reflight. The entire vehicle stands at 229 feet tall, or about the height of a 21-story building. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is the first stage, which is commonly referred to as the booster. And not only is the first stage the largest part of the rocket, but it's also the portion of the rocket that we attempt to land on either one of our drone ships or back on land for future reuse. Reusability is a critical part of our goal of making life multiplanetary, and every mission provides valuable information on repeated launch and reusability. Reusability also allows us to refly the most expensive parts of the rocket, which in turn drives down the cost of access to space. And today's booster will be flying for its 16th time. And we're working towards qualifying our fleet of Falcon boosters and fairings to support 40 missions each. There are 9 M1D engines at the base of Falcon 9 that generate 1.7 million pounds of thrust at liftoff to accelerate the first stage through the Earth's atmosphere and into space. And eventually the booster separates from the rest of the rocket, returning to Earth to be reused. While Stage 2 continues to its target altitude, where it will deploy today's payloads. After stage separation, the booster will be returning to our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which is currently located in the Pacific Ocean. And to date, we have landed a Falcon booster 309 times. So through the clouds, let's turn our attention back to Falcon 9 on the pad today. Above the first stage is the second stage, which has a single Merlin vacuum, or MVAC engine, that ignites after the first stage separates. And that is what will carry the NRO payload into orbit. Located above the second stage is the payload fairing, which is the large barrel structure at the top of the rocket. At 17 feet in diameter, the carbon composite fairing protects satellites on their way to orbit and are jettisoned around 3 minutes into flight. The fairing halves supporting today's mission are both flight proven, with one half flying for its 12th time and the other half flying for its 3rd time. After separation from the second stage, both fairing halves will return to Earth and will be recovered by our recovery team.
Retract.
So next up, the transporter erector, or TE, will retract away from the vehicle, and that is the large truss structure you see there next to the rocket. So shortly, we should see the clamp arms opening up around the second stage, and then the TE will begin to pull away from the rocket slightly. And then at T-, and then at T0, the ground hydraulic systems will pull the TE even further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. So right around now is when the clamp arms are opening up, and in around 5 seconds, they should be fully open. And the strongback is beginning to recline, and in about a minute, it will be fully reclined away from the vehicle. So the first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, but the structure is hinged and will retract away from the vehicle in preparation for launch. And you may hear it referred to as a strongback from the launch team, and it does a lot of heavy lifting in the lead up to launch. We use the TE to roll the rocket out to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. And the TE is what we use to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and payload until Falcon 9 switches to internal power and clears the pad. And at this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Both first and second stages should finish loading propellant about a minute apart from each other, with the first stage finishing up right around now at
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
There, we heard that call out right on time, and we will expect to hear that the second stage will be fully loaded at around T-minus 2 minutes. The white clouds, if you can make them out, are the chilled gas above the LOX tank that we vent overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed. And when that vented oxygen comes out into the California air, the humid air condenses, turning it into distinct clouds right next to the vehicle. And at T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will be in startup, and that means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers will have taken over the launch countdown. And then, just inside of T-minus 2 seconds, we will light the M1D engines for liftoff.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
There's a great call out right on time for Stage 2 LOX load completion. And the NRO payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is currently tracking no issues on the rocket.
Closeout has started.
Weather is still looking green, and the range is ready to support our T0 of 1 a.m. Pacific time. And with that, we are proceeding into the last few minutes of terminal count.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Great call out, which means that Falcon 9 is now on internal power.
LD is go for launch.
And there you heard the LD give the final go for launch. So let's sit back and watch.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Engine chamber pressure is nominal.
So at T plus 30 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 4E and throttled down to prepare for max Q at T plus 1 minute. And max Q is the moment in flight with the highest amount of aerodynamic pressure and stress on the vehicle.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. Max Q.
There we just had max Q. So with that call out, we now have 3 events coming up in quick succession, starting with MECO, followed by stage SEP, and then SES-1. MECO, or main engine cutoff, is where all 9 M1D engines shut off to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation, which is where the first and second stages separate from one another. Then stage 2 will continue to second engine start 1, or SES-1, and that is where the single MVAC engine lights up and propels the second stage to orbit.
Kill.
In addition to these 3 major events, the fairing halves will separate less than a minute after SES-1, so keep an eye out for all of those events.
Vehicle is following a
coming
nominal
up
trajectory.
In around 30 seconds from now. And as a reminder, we will not have any stage 2 views of separation at the request of our customer.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed.
And we have confirmation of main engine cutoff and stage separation,
MVAC
SES-1, coming up in a few seconds. There it is. We are expecting to hear the call out for fairing separation in a couple seconds from now, but we won't see this. We will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves once they fall back down to Earth using our recovery ship, Go Beyond.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And we just confirmed fairing separation. And you also heard and maybe even saw those 3 events that happened back to back, which again were MECO, stage separation, SES-1, followed about 30 seconds later by fairing separation. We'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today back on Earth with our recovery vessel, Go Beyond. And coming up in about 3 minutes from now, the booster will initiate its entry burn to begin its journey
nominal trajectories
to the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship that is currently in the Pacific Ocean. Great call out there. We're just at T plus 4.5 minutes into today's mission, and just past the T plus 6 minute mark, you should see on your screen the first stage's entry burn. So to start the entry burn, we will relight 3 of our M1D engines, engines 1, 5, and 9, which is similar to pumping the brakes to slow down the vehicle as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow it down to reduce the reentry forces, which then helps us recover and reuse the first stage. During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but we're still moving really fast. And this causes the rocket to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, which is also known as a plume, and that deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle. And that soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, that soot continues to build up on the outside of the vehicle. That entry burn should be coming up in about 20 seconds from now.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
So entry burn has begun, and we have lit engines 1, 5, and 9 to slow down the vehicle.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And we just completed our entry burn. And coming up next in about a minute will be landing burn.
Stage 1, FTS has saved.
The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for
Both
sea
vehicles
level,
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
and these achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust each during ascent and descent. And for landing burn, we use just one of these, engine 9, to slow the vehicle down just before touching down on our drone ship.
Stage 1 transonic.
But coming up next, we'll shut
Stage 2
down.
FTS is saved.
We'll shut down our MVAC engine on the second stage, which will be followed quickly by our landing burn on the first stage.
Stage 1 landing burn. Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
An awesome
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
An awesome view of our Stage 1 that is now landed back on our drone ship. Of course, I Still Love You. This was the 16th launch and landing for this first stage, and this landing marks SpaceX's 310th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. And with that landing, we will bring today's webcast to a close. Thank you to the National Reconnaissance Office for entrusting us with today's mission. And if you're interested in learning in more launch coverage, be sure to check out spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. Today's mission marks SpaceX's 347th overall mission to date and 52nd mission of the year. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.